Greetings, Bat Family. Welcome to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. You can find us all over social media on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast, you'll find us. And if you're a big fan of the show and you want to support us, you can do that on Patreon. You go to patreon.com/holybatcast. No pressure, as always. We're going to keep doing the show regardless, but for everybody who has done that, it really helps and it really makes it that much easier for us to keep doing the show. So big thank you to our patrons. We really appreciate you. We're part of the Real Fans Podcast Network, so check out some of those other shows when you get a chance. Still haven't gotten the website worked out, but you can look them up. Disorder, Every Disney Film, Grim Grinning Hosts, Real Fans for Real Movies, From Pencils to Pixels, all the good shows. Check them out when you get a chance. Lots of fun stuff. And as always, I'm Andy DeGenova, your Bat host. You can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd. It's always just my name, Andy DeGenova. We got some new DC trailers for y'all, and it's an exciting time. So, most importantly, we got the first full trailer for Superman. James Gunn says the one we got at Christmas didn't count. That was just the teaser. This is a true trailer. Lots to talk about. And as a bonus, we also got a trailer for Peacemaker Season 2. We're going to talk about both of those things, and then we'll see what time it is. Maybe do some emails, maybe not. Joining me for all that fun. It's been a while since he's been on the show. We did miss him because we do love him. Thanks for coming back. It's Jamie Drewley.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to step away for a minute. I didn't quite understand the assignment. I thought we were discussing the Ironheart trailer, so I have to go watch a couple things.
Okay, I'll just hang out. You go do you.
All right.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
That's my favorite part of the trailer.
All right, well, let's not jump ahead, but welcome back. How you been?
Good. Life is a fascinating journey.
Indeed it is. Just keep on moving forward.
That's all you can do, man.
Yes, sir. Well, summer movie season has officially begun, and we got a big summer movie to look forward to, Superman. Speaking of, we did our summer movie preview on Real Fans for Real Movies not that long ago. That was super fun. And I think you and I both called Superman as the movie of the summer.
Yeah, and frankly, after watching this trailer some 25 to 30 times today, I feel like I should raise my bid a little bit on it.
Well, they're locked in, but I feel you. So we're going to talk about that. But first, we are going to talk about Peacemaker. It's a little appetizer. So we got the Peacemaker Season 2 trailer a couple of days ago, 5 days ago, to be exact. And I thought that was worth chatting about, especially because it does connect to Superman, as the trailer shows. So we'll talk about that. Then we will get to the main event. So, Jamie, if I recall, you also were pleasantly surprised with Peacemaker Season 1.
I very much was. And in fact, I watched this trailer the other day, and I watched it just now because you said I might want to refresh before we discuss it, which was a good idea. And I watched the trailer and I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I guess I'll watch it. And then I remembered, you know what? I think I had a worse reaction to the first season, and I really came out of it pleasantly surprised. So,
yeah, I mean, the trailer, it's a good trailer in my opinion, but like, it's much more. It's not giving away a lot, I guess, and it's also not giving away a lot of like the money shots, if you will. It's a lot of just like character interactions and whatnot. So, which is fine. It's fitting for what Peacemaker is. There are certainly intriguing things in it, but yeah, they don't seem to be giving away the big wows yet.
And that seems to be a trait with James Gunn stuff, as we'll discuss when we get into the Superman trailer further. Yeah, he has a lot of restraint with this, assuming he's got, final say on what shows up in the trailer and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I know that he is intimately involved. Most filmmakers don't necessarily get final say on such things, but I feel like he probably does, especially considering how important, especially Superman is, but I think by extension, the entire DC brand. But the Peacemaker trailer, I think one of the coolest things that at least took me by surprise, but in a good way, is that it kicks off with cameos by Maxwell Lord, Hawkgirl, and Guy Gardner.
Mm-hmm.
So we already know that this is going to take place in the DCU one way or the other. But yeah, they're just putting it right out there. It's like, hey, these guys from Superman are also going to be in Peacemaker. At least I assume it's just going to be this scene. But regardless, I'll take it. I like that connective tissue. But they are still wearing their costumes from Superman. So there's a chance that this also takes place before Superman.
I hadn't considered that.
Well, just something to think about. But anyway, I thought that was cool. I dug it. I like that connection. But it's pretty funny that they're, he's obviously interviewing to be part of the super team. We don't know what the name of the super team is in Superman yet, with Hawkgirl, Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, and we assume also Metamorpho. So Peacemaker is interviewing to join this team, and I appreciate that it starts out as like, oh, come on, this will be easy. We saved the world. And it seems like Peacemaker and his buddies still getting no respect in season 2, which fits because they are a band of misfits.
Sure.
So anyway, there's some funny stuff in there for me. Highlight Tim Meadows. I love Tim Meadows anyway. I don't know why he's in this. I don't care. I love him. But him giving the random nicknames to the different people.
Yes.
Was so funny. Pony Boy and Sino Man. So yeah, I got some good laughs out of it. I'm excited to see the crew back. It's been a while since we've seen season 1. It makes me want to revisit season 1. But yeah, I thought it was a good trailer that got some good laughs out of me. So I'm looking forward to that at the end of the summer.
What is it? Eagly? Is that the Eagle's name?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I'm excited to see him again because I really like Eagly.
Eagly was a big hit. We love him. And then of course, like the final moment in the trailer is sort of the biggie, which is he walks through a door, which it seems like these doors lead to alternate dimensions, which reminds me of Shazam, actually. If you remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like skulking around in another Earth or whatever, and is face to face with another Peacemaker. So I guess that gives it at least a clue as to how Peacemaker, which was part of the old universe, will now be a part of the new universe.
Yeah, we got to have some multiverse stuff mixed in somehow, I guess.
I just hope it's not too much.
I agree. I'm kind of over the multiverse thing at this point.
Kind of burnt out on it, but like to do it, to get everything like on the same page, that's fine. But I want another fun adventure with Peacemaker and his crew of weirdos, stopping bad guys and hopefully, some cool DC stuff along the way.
I'm in.
Great. Well, all right. Peacemaker season 2. Coming our way in August, about a month after Superman.
Gosh, it'll be here before we know it.
Yep. We are less than 2 months away from Superman, and we are going to talk about the new Superman trailer. But first, this very important announcement.
DC High Volume, Batman. The Dark Knight's definitive DC Comics stories. Adapted directly for audio for the very first time.
Fear. I have to make them afraid.
He's got a motorcycle. Get after him or I'll have you shot.
What do you mean blow up the building?
From this moment on, none of you are safe.
New episodes every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, well, here we go. It's time to talk about the first trailer, or the first real trailer, of Superman.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Your choices. Your actions. That's what makes you who you are.
Superman. He's not a man. He's an it. He's somehow become the focal point of the entire world's conversation. I will not except that.
I cleaned your boots. I'll go get them for you.
Before we get into that, I do have to throw in a little advertisement of my own here.
Okay.
And that is, it's about a cryptocurrency investment. And I really think you guys should get on board, because if you're not familiar, cryptocurrency is what DC is going to be printing from all of the merchandise with this dog's face on it from now until probably this time next year.
I was gonna say, I was like, are we doing a pun here, or you just being funny? Yeah. So okay.
I'm telling you, that dog has everybody's attention. Even the people I made watch this trailer at work multiple times today were like, "Oh, I really like the dog." I'm like, "Done. We're in." So yeah, cryptocurrency.
Great. And crypto's, like you said, is already a big hit. Already the merchandise, and based on the trailer, like, this isn't like, oh, crypto's in it too. It seems like crypto is in all of it. Like, very much a main character in the film.
Yes.
So, all right, we got the trailer. Oh, before we talk about the trailer, though, we also got a new poster. Did you see that?
Yes.
So, interesting. What'd you think?
So I don't have anything against the poster, but honestly, it didn't really move a needle either way for me. I thought it's good looking. I'm not desperate to have it hanging up on my wall with all my other posters when I get them put up, but it's a good poster. It had a lot of the early posters from Superman 78, kind of the color hues in the background. It's a bit reminiscent of that, not exactly, but a bit. He looks good as Superman. The costume still maybe not my favorite, but I got trunks on the outside, so baby steps. We'll get there eventually. It's a good poster. I don't think it's a fantastic poster. I know a lot of people did. More power to you. For me, it was just fine.
Yeah, I agree. I liked it mostly because I thought he looked great as Superman. But I thought we would get another poster. Like, I prefer the first poster, the one of him flying with all the streaks of color and everything. This one looked honestly more like, I think, like promo art than it did a true poster. Because it's just him as Superman standing there. Like kind of.
What else do you need to sell a Superman movie?
I guess that's true.
Do you need a Drew Struzan, splash graphic background with some faces on it?
Yes.
I really don't think you need that for a Superman.
I mean, I like that.
Well, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying you're selling. Well, I mean, just to dip into the trailer a little bit right now, the word Superman never shows up at any point in that trailer. All you see is the symbol. And of course, the costume and everything. And his name's mentioned multiple times, but like there's never like a title card for Superman or anything.
I was like, they say Superman a lot. Oh, you mean like as far as the name of the movie? It doesn't say Superman. Yeah.
Because everybody knows who Superman. My great grandfather knew who Superman was.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. That's absolutely the truth.
I believe you.
Yes.
Well, cool. Anyway, so yes, I thought it was a cool poster. Well, let me say this. I thought it was a cool image, but I was surprised it was a poster. But there will be, I'm sure, 40 more before the movie comes out. But now to get to the trailer. First, we'll start with overall thoughts before we start getting in the nitty gritty.
Okay. You want me to go first?
Yes, I do.
I freaking love this thing. I wasn't just watching it because it was homework. I was watching it because I was enjoying every single minute of watching this 3-minute trailer over. And like I say, I had to have watched this thing 25 or 30 times today. I don't even know, maybe more. I have no idea, but I watched it a lot and I enjoyed it every single stinking time I watched it. Mm-hmm. There was, I hear people out there saying, oh, I still have some concerns or this and that and the other thing. I'm sorry. I am not with you on this. I was already very much looking forward to this movie. I was very excited. I was very hopeful. Watching this trailer, I feel supremely confident this is the Superman movie we want, and I feel supremely confident that it's the Superman movie that DC Warner Brothers Discovery is going to want to.
Mm. I mean, I'm with you. I loved it. I thought it was an awesome trailer. What was so crazy is it was, it hit at noon our time, and I was just slammed. So I didn't get to watch it for a couple of hours until after you guys had already seen it. And I'm like, it was killing me knowing it was out there waiting for me and I just couldn't get to it. Eventually got to it, but yeah, I loved it. I'm with you. I thought it was awesome. It's so great to see just more of what the movie's going to be, especially to hear our three principals talk in this one, Superman,
Yes.
Lois, and Lex. I will say right now, it seems like all three of those, the actors are just nailing it. Superman, Lex, and Lois all just, yeah, they seem perfect in their roles from what we're seeing here. Yeah, it's great. I want to buy a ticket right now and immediately go in and watch the movie. And I watched it many, many times as well. And then I watched it with Harley, and then she made me repeat it 3 times.
Atta girl.
So she also was into it, which is exciting. A big part of that, I'm sure, is Crypto. She loves the doggy, but she's like, oh, Superman, more Superman again. I want to see it again. So that made me extremely happy. But yeah, just I thought it was an awesome trailer. But like we were saying earlier about Peacemaker, there's a lot of new stuff, and yet I feel like they are still holding back.
They are definitely holding back because for all of the imagery that's here, some of it's just very quick, split second shots. Some of it's a little bit of an extension of what we got in the teaser, but we've got hints of kind of what we're going to be dealing with in this movie. But I still don't feel like the full story is on display here.
No, I don't either.
I think we have a lot more now talking about, at the beginning when they're doing the interview and Superman stops a war and he's apparently catching some heat from some of the public and the government about, intervening in this international conflict that the U.S. had no business being in. And they're apparently viewing him as a representative of the U.S. in that. So I like the play on that, but the depth of that story and how much it's going to play into, throughout the film, we really have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that. So that's actually one of the things I wanted to ask you tonight. Do you believe we will get another trailer before the movie's released?
Oh, I mean, it's 2 months. My hunch says yes. Like in that last push, I would not be shocked if we got another.
I sure don't think we need it at this point.
I know, but
I don't want it. I mean, I do want to see more, but I would much rather just see it sitting in the theater on opening night because I am going to make the trek for this one. But I don't know. I'm nervous that there's so much that I have questions about that I want to be revealed in the film. I don't want any of it revealed in the trailer. It's just, I'm a little snake bitten by that sort of thing.
No, I completely understand, and I'm with you. I wonder if they will be able to hold off. I mean, obviously they're going to get a lot of attention now, but in 6 weeks' time, they're going to want everyone to have July 11th marked on their calendar. So I just don't know if they'll be able to resist.
Yeah. I would be far more convinced that no, they're not going to do it if at the end of this trailer it would have had the button to say tickets on sale June 1st or something like that.
Yeah.
Because that's usually something that's tied to, final promotion stuff is when the tickets go on sale.
Yeah, that's true.
So since I didn't see that, I thought, well, I'm probably not going to get away without that additional trailer. But, at the same time, hopefully they can still find a way to show a lot of restraint with that last trailer as well.
Yeah.
If that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're being very careful of like cutting around major story beats, but still, again, giving us more than we had from the teaser in December. Yeah, I think they're doing a great job at it, which is something I'm very grateful for because it's enough to get me excited. There's a lot of new stuff, and yet I think there's still a lot to discover when we actually see the movie. But yeah, I mean, just really awesome, and it has, I think, everything you want in the trailer. Is we get to see the personalities, we get to see this world, we get to see some action, we get to see some heart and pathos and emotion. I'm surprised not really any humor. Not really. Except maybe the eyes up here moment, which is light, but I wouldn't call it a joke. So, but it does the trick of being like, oh shit, like this is why you go to the movies in the summer. This is the summer movie you want in July.
So I guess I'll throw out. I don't want to be critical because I like it and I'm intrigued by it and I want to see how it plays out. But I guess if I had one thing that has irked me very slightly here is we now have 2 trailers, one teaser, one full trailer. And in each of these trailers, there is a moment with Superman that obviously and clearly is 2 entirely separate moments where he is kind of out of commission.
Mm-hmm. Where he's hurt.
I don't need a movie where Superman gets his ass kicked like 4 times. That's my only concern there. I don't need that. We'll see how it plays out. I think my feeling now is, there's a confrontation at the fortress. Clearly, we've seen, snippets of that here in this trailer. And, that, of course, would lead to how the teaser opened up. And then we're going to have a sequence where he's got to hang out at the homestead in Smallville to try and recover a little bit and then, get back into action from there. If those are the only 2 things that I'm dealing with in this regard, I'm going to be okay. If it winds up being he's got to go, tuck his tail between his legs and run and recover several times during the movie, I don't think that's going to sit well with me.
No, it's an interesting observation. I hear you. I have a hunch that the one we saw in the teaser and the sneak peek of him landing in the Fortress of Solitude, beat up and bloody, it seems like that's the beginning of the movie with the kaiju. Again, this is speculation and also not just mine. Other speculation I've seen is it seems like that's sort of how the movie's going to kick off of him taking on the kaiju, it getting the better of him. And then that allows us, the audience, to be introduced to Crypto, the Fortress of Solitude, regenerated by the sun. He comes back, he defeats the kaiju. That feels like the beginning of the movie. This other part where you see he's laid up in Smallville being tended to by his parents and by Lois looking awfully concerned, that looks more like kryptonite poisoning. There's something on his face that looks like he is sick and it's got the veins look. So it seems like that is kryptonite as opposed to maybe what happens when it's just beaten up in a more traditional sense.
Now, I did not, unfortunately, get a chance to sit here and break down frame by frame, analyze backgrounds and everything else. All I did was just watch the trailer on repeat on my, 13-inch laptop. And then I got home and watched it probably half a dozen times on my big screen TV. And then I watched it a couple times on my iPad while I was waiting for you to finish eating dinner. But I didn't, get the breakdowns like I sometimes like to do with these trailers, especially big ones that mean a lot to me like this one does. But did you happen to catch the kryptonite cameo in this?
I did. Yes, I did. It took me a while to see it, if I'm being honest. So
it had to be pointed out to me by somebody else, to be honest about it.
So there are a couple shots where Superman is in the cell, and we've seen him in the cell in the previous teaser as well, but he is in the cell with Metamorpho. And when I watched the trailer the first 12 times, I just thought that he and Metamorpho were both locked up in the same cell. And then I noticed Metamorpho's hand is kryptonite. And so it seems like Metamorpho is there keeping him subdued with the kryptonite. And then he gets roughed up by some of Lex's goons in power suits. But yeah, like what a crazy detail, and very interesting that Metamorpho might take him a while to join the good guys. How about that?
Yeah, that seems apt. Or maybe he just figures it out right there. Like, Clark gives him the speech or something along those lines, and he goes about his business. And that's at the moment where we saw in the teaser where he punches through the glass pane of that cell and escapes.
Yeah. And that's in here too. So you're right. Like somewhere between this and him being able to escape from the cell, either Metamorpho sees the error of his ways or they join the same side or whatever. But yeah, in this scene, he's the one who's creating the kryptonite. So let's get
Gonna be intriguing.
back to the beginning.
No, skip straight to the end. You know how I do things here.
I do know. We've got Lois and Clark in what seems like just a very chill evening at home as Lois and Clark. And she's like, wait, are you serious? You'll let me interview you as Superman? And he's like, sure, why not? So we know that Lois knows that Clark and Superman are one and the same. We know they've been dating a while, and but she is keeping his secret. And so now she has to interview him as Superman. I thought it was an interesting way to frame up the first half of the trailer, but it was really cool to see Lois and Clark bounce off of each other.
Agreed. And I think you and or Brendan were talking about that on an episode or two ago, how you really wanted to see the interactions between those two.
It was Jay Yaws, actually.
Oh, it was Jay.
It was. Okay. Jay's like,
sorry, Jay, my bad.
You guys brought up a lot of great points, but I want to see the chemistry between David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan. And I was like, oh, yes, good point, Jay. And we certainly get it here. We get them kind of flirtatious, but then I do love that Lois is not afraid to challenge him in what he's doing as Superman too. Like she's asking the hard questions and she's not holding back, even though he's her boyfriend.
So I'm unclear on one thing here. And again, I don't want to know before I see the movie, but I just want to throw out perspective here. Is she doing that because she wants to have the discussion, or is she doing that because he has to go in front of some governmental committee the next day and she's trying to get him prepped for it?
My hunch.
Because she's clearly pushing his buttons as they're talking here.
Yeah. I think that when he agrees to an interview, he thinks it's going to be like a friendly one of like, oh, you're my girlfriend. Sure, I'll answer your questions. And he's not prepared that she immediately goes into hard-hitting reporter mode and asks the tough questions. And that's why he says, oh, this is how you're going to do it, or something like that. This is how you're going to be. So I think that, yeah, like he thought she would throw some softballs, and Lois Lane doesn't ride like that. And she goes right for it, which I think is great.
I couldn't agree more. In either case, I'm loving the bouncing off of each other there, because again, going way back to when she was first cast, I could not love the casting of Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane more than I do. Mm-hmm. And this trailer definitely brought to me, and like to everybody, exactly why I think she was the perfect choice for this character in this film.
Yep. I completely agree. I was all on board for it, even though I never watched Miss Maisel. And we've certainly seen her in the teaser and the sneak peek and the behind the scenes, but I think this is the first time we're hearing her speak as Lois Lane. And yeah, like you've got to sell us on a new Lois, on a new Superman, on a new Lex. And this trailer does all three. She's great. She's strong. She's confident. She challenges him. Their back and forth is awesome. And I love when he's talking to her as Clark, and then she starts the recording and she goes, okay, Superman. And he leans forward and he goes, Miss Lane. And his voice deepens just a little bit.
It drops an octave or two. I was just getting ready to mention that. That was very good.
Yeah. Like,
because he doesn't just disguise with the glasses and his posture.
Yeah. So, and it's subtle. It's not completely, it's not a complete change, but it's just that extra air of confidence and the deepness in the voice. It's just an awesome moment. And
on my crappy laptop speakers, I didn't even pick up on it. It wasn't until I got home and started watching it on my TV that I was like, oh, his voice definitely noticeably changes there. Okay.
Yeah. And again, I didn't have to be sold on any of these people, but it was a moment where I was like, oh, he's got this. He's good. Like he knew the assignment. She knew the assignment. They know what they're doing. I feel like I'm in very good hands with their performances already.
Agreed.
So yeah, that's a great touch. And we find out that Superman is out trying to do the best he can, and he intervened into some conflict. He says, I stopped a war. And she's like, yeah, but you went and you were illegally entered a different country. You're representing the United States. And he's like, I'm not representing anybody. I'm trying to do the right thing. And so it goes back to what James Gunn said when he started writing and preparing Superman, where he's like, it's about doing what's right when that is now an old-fashioned idea or something to that effect, where Superman sees it as something that's very black and white of people were going to get hurt, so I had to stop it. And Lois is the one who's like, it's just not that simple. And it seems like so much of the movie is going to hinge on that.
It very well could be. I mean, I don't want that to be the only focal theme of it. You know, I don't know exactly what to make of. I like the idea that yes, I don't want everybody in the globe to just be running around in a Superman shirt, you know, being happy about it. Because, you know, in a utopian society, I suppose that would be the ideal thing, you know, very old fashioned. But the fact of the matter is, and I've talked about this ad nauseum with the Man of Steel and BVS, and that there are people in the world who would never trust somebody like Superman just based on the idea that they do not understand him. They do not trust somebody from another world, from another culture, for any of that. There are just people who are going to be like that no matter freaking what. So the fact that they're not shying away from this in this world, even though I do see a lighter tone coming out of this in a lot of ways, they're still not going to shy away from real world issues dealing with this new universe and this new Superman.
Right.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It would have been very easy to go too far in the other direction after some of the complaints with the last version of, oh, it's just, you know, it's shiny, happy, fun, all good. And James Gunn still not being afraid to put real challenges in front of Superman, both physical and other, you know, like, so we know that physically he can take a beating. But this is also about like his reputation taking a beating and just, you know, what the world is like these days and how a Superman could fare in that. It's worth noting that that was also explored in Batman v Superman of, hey, you know, Superman's trying to do the right thing, but now the government's getting involved. And what does that mean? And how does the world react? And so it's interesting to see that being explored further in this. And I'll be interested to see how far it goes.
I agree.
I will say, it's just real quick. I know the guy who throws the can at Superman's head.
Really?
Yep. So when that was in the teaser, I was so focused on Superman, I didn't even notice it was him. This is a guy I used to know because of Disney, and then I knew him out in LA, and he posted like on his Facebook the screen grab of him throwing the can at Superman. I was like, holy shit, that is you, isn't it? And I was like, oh my God, I'm ashamed I didn't even recognize you, but that's awesome. So, you know, his little claim to fame, he's in every trailer throwing a can at Superman.
Right on.
Yeah, his name is Brandon Lozier. I should get him on the show. So I think that's so fun. Anyway, so Superman has intervened and it is hurting his reputation, and it seems like Lex is happy to take advantage of the situation or even help make it worse.
Well, that's very un-Lex-like, but maybe.
Almost every shot of Lex in this, his face is so wonderfully punchable.
Oh, yeah. He's exactly what you want from a Lex, right?
Yeah, like he just looks so smarmy and so shitty that you just kind of want to slap him, but it's perfect. And again, it's exactly, I think, what we want from this new Lex. And Nicholas Hoult is giving a great performance here, you know, and saying very Lex-like things of like, oh, he's not a man, he's an it, but for some reason, you know, he's become the conversation of the world, and I'm going to put a stop to it, or some variation of that. So
that pretty much sums it up. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that he just looks like a wonderful bastard, and I can't wait to see more.
Yeah. Jay and I were talking just very briefly in the Real Fans group today in the post that I made when the trailer dropped. And Jay said something about, I can't remember how he phrased it, but the scene, like it's a half a second of Lex taking a sip out of a coffee mug.
Yeah.
Looking over the top of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the new Kermit meme. It's going to take over everything.
Yes. But yeah, a great little moment. It's blink and you miss it, but it's really good. Rick Flag.
His mannerisms, his voice, his demeanor, everything about him just seems right.
Yeah.
In the worst possible way. You know, that give praise to the worst asshole bad guy in the world, I know, but Nicholas Hoult, I think, is bringing it to a level that a lot of us have been looking for in a live action film for maybe our whole lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's not to disrespect Gene Hackman. That's not to disrespect Jesse Eisenberg, but this just seems to me like the Lex that we've been waiting for.
Right. I completely agree. And again, I like those guys too, but this seems like the right combination of all the elements. And yeah, so far I'm really excited. I think he looks great.
Now, are they teasing us in this trailer, or are we going to have, is it going to be President Lex that we have here?
Ooh.
Because she says, did you consult the president? And as she's saying that, they're showing Lex. So is James Gunn pulling our leg with this, or do we have President Lex we're dealing with?
That is a good question. We'll find out, won't we?
Yeah.
Because if we jump to President
Secretary,
Lex, it makes it more complicated, doesn't it?
Sure, absolutely. And what was it? Secretary of Defense is indicating that it's Rick Flag Sr.
Yep. So, yep, you got Rick Flag Sr. in here, who, again, also showed up in the Peacemaker trailer, which I forgot to mention. So, yeah, you've got him here investigating Superman and what Superman's been doing. And he's palling around with Ultraman and the Engineer. The Engineer gets a lot of play in this trailer.
Yeah, I forgot. I keep forgetting about this Engineer character because when the Fortress of Solitude sequence is playing out, I was like, oh, is that Mercy? And then I think it was Joe Flonerado said, I think it's the Engineer. I was like, oh yeah, I keep forgetting about that.
Remember the
I
Engineer
don't know anything about that character.
From The Authority.
Right, The Authority.
You know, The Authority. Yes, it's definitely her. But I mean, yeah, she looks badass. You see her powers on display here, and that invasion of the fortress sequence looks awesome. The action of her taking out the robots look awesome, and then Crypto taking out her.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
I audibly gasped when that happened the first time I watched the trailer today. Because, yes, I'm aware James Gunn is hip on this Crypto thing. I know it. And the public is definitely waking up to this Crypto thing way deep. But I never in a million years expected to see even the briefest snippet of an action sequence of Crypto jacking somebody's jaw in this trailer.
Yeah.
And I was so happy about it. Because, I don't know if I mentioned it, but that's my favorite part of the trailer. Because I have like 9 favorite parts in this trailer.
Oh, okay.
I'm so cheap. I'm so cheap with this. But, man, there is so much about this trailer that I absolutely adore.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I just love Lex, walking through cool as a cucumber while I was about to call her Mercy while the Engineer, takes out the robots and their invasion of the fortress. So yeah, that whole sequence looks really great.
Can't wait to see the whole piece.
I love the moment where Superman gets knocked into the street and he gets helped up by a civilian.
Yes. So good. And, I know it may not be popular with everybody, and maybe I would possibly rather have something else, but playing the Williams theme underneath that, it kind of made the hair on the back of my neck stand up a little bit.
I know.
I ain't gonna lie.
I know. No, I'm with you. The first half of the trailer, the music is a lot more unique, but then for the second half, they definitely lean into John Williams, and then this new, we'll just call it the Top Gun version of the Williams theme. But it works. I really love it. So that's fine. We also see Superman taking on a guy in a giant suit of armor. I've seen toys of this guy online, not out in the wild, and they have him just called the Hammer.
The Hammer of Baravia is what that is.
Yeah. So I don't think he's from anything. I think he's another unique creation here, but
until the helmet comes off and the surprise is revealed underneath. And no, I don't have any information. I don't even have a real guess of who it would be, but I feel like it's going to be a oh moment when that helmet comes off.
Interesting. Well, is it Baravia? So
Something like that.
Baravia
Yeah.
or whatever.
It's whatever country he stops the war in
right.
is where that guy's from.
Right.
Yes.
So he stops the war in this country. And so you do have to wonder of like, okay, he stops the war in this country, so the whole world's talking about it. And that could lead Lex to creating a hammer of Baravia to escalate the situation.
Sure. And, it could be Ultraman, it could be Lex, it could be anybody underneath that. We don't know.
Yeah.
It could be a robot.
Could be
we don't know.
Could be a robot.
But, the Ultraman thing, I feel like there's going to be a big reveal with that one also.
Yeah, I mean, if he takes it off and it's just David Corenswet, I'll be a little disappointed, I'll be honest. Like, if it's just a clone of Superman and it's just, David Corenswet under the mask, I'd be like, eh.
Yeah, I'll wait and see how it plays out, but there are other things I think I would maybe rather it be.
It should be Henry Cavill. It should be Henry Cavill.
Well, of course it should be Henry Cavill. We know that, but I feel like we're asking a little much on that.
I mean, that is true, but if it was...
People would lose their freaking minds, dude.
The problem is I spoke that, I think, when we did the behind the scenes thing, and I was like, and now if it's anything else, I'm going to be disappointed.
Yep.
So it's my own fault.
You ruined it for everybody, DeGenova. Way to go.
But come on. I mean, they're being so careful about keeping him masked. So come on. It's got to be worth it. But,
I mean, it could not be any more perfect than that. And that's the problem, that if it is anything other than that, it's like,
Yeah, it's disappointing. So... Speaking of Ultraman, though, we had seen snippets of Ultraman and Superman fighting in the baseball stadium. We get a little bit more of that here, but it turns out that the Engineer and Mr. Terrific are also there. So it seems like a much bigger battle than just Superman versus Ultraman. And it looks like here that the Engineer has taken out Mr. Terrific because Mr. Terrific is unconscious on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, just cool that they are both there. And it does seem like Ultraman and the Engineer are Lex's enforcers in this world, and maybe Metamorpho for at least part of the film.
Right. Metamorpho's kind of, I don't know why every time I've watched the trailer, I see Metamorpho sitting in there. I think of Leech from the X-Men comics.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could see that.
Somebody sitting in there just draining the power so somebody can't do their thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was going to say something. The amount of set pieces that appear to be in this film, and I granted, I realize some of them may be much more closely tied than I might initially assume from watching the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
But the Fortress of Solitude, the Daily Planet, the baseball stadium, the downtown Metropolis fight with the kaiju, the war in Baravia,
Mm-hmm.
the like the camp that's set up when, like in the teaser, when Mr. Terrific first shows up and sets out the T-spheres, it's like, like tents or whatever they're kind of set up around there, which this one you see Guy Gardner kind of do that little backhanded wrist flick thing with the construct, which I thought was absolutely fantastic.
I was going to say, I love that. I think that's awesome.
Yes. I feel like that's also part of that same sequence that I'm talking about from the teaser. So I don't know how closely any one of these is tied to another one. Like they may just be an extension of the same set piece, but we've got some locales on display here. This is going to be a big time presentation.
It's a globe-trotting Superman adventure.
Well done.
And you mentioned the, Mr. Terrific's entrance of what we see again, just very quickly here, but in the behind the scenes sneak peek that we got a couple weeks ago, there was a shot inside it looked like the inside of a ship that was very red. And that's what Mr. Terrific is stepping out of on this new trailer. So it does seem like that is their ship, this super team. But when we talked about the behind the scenes, I kept being like, oh, the super team, I guess they're run by Maxwell Lord or Simon Stagg. And based on the Peacemaker trailer, I do think it's got to be Maxwell Lord, right?
It seems to be the case, yes.
So we don't necessarily know how Simon Stagg fits in, but yeah, to me it really seems like these are Maxwell Lord's supers. You get a quick glimpse of Mr. Terrific in action. Like you mentioned, we get the great Guy Gardner moment of him doing the backhand, and you get a really cool moment of Hawk Girl kind of bursting through a building, screaming. So just those little snippets of action from the other heroes. Oh, and you get to see metamorphing as well.
Yes.
So yeah, all those just little snippets of seeing the other heroes. I do think that they, it's cool that they're in the movie. I do think that they're supporting players. And it's smart that they're showing them, but they are not focusing on them.
Yes. And we don't know, are they going to be in the movie for a half an hour? Are they going to be in the movie for 5 minutes? We have no idea. So
Yeah.
I know people are still expressing the sentiment out there of, oh, it's a Superman movie, but it's going to wind up being a Justice League movie because all these other characters in there. And I'm like, pump the brakes, because we don't know that.
Yeah.
You're assuming, but maybe you're right. Maybe it is a half-assed Justice League movie. I don't know, because I haven't seen it yet either. But I choose to remain hopeful that this is a Superman movie, and one that I really want to see.
Yeah. And this that shot of Guy Gardner, Hawk Girl, and Mr. Terrific flying above the city is really awesome too. And because it is the three of them and Metamorpho is not in there, that's why I feel like Metamorpho is going to end up being a bit of a wild card for most of the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Like it almost feels to me, and again, I don't want to speculate too much here, but because I'm never right when I do anything.
That's why we're here. Come on.
But like, it almost feels to me like whether it be the kaiju fight or whether it be the baseball stadium deal with Ultraman, they're going to come in to assist somebody, be it Superman or be it the quote bad guys in that moment, and then kind of go about their business afterwards. Like maybe their team and Ultraman is who ultimately captures Superman and gets him locked in the cell with Metamorpho.
Yeah.
And then maybe by the end of the movie, everybody realized, oh, we screwed up. He really is the good guy, and Lex is the a-hole here. So now we got to go do something about it. But I also don't want to make it so Superman can't deal with things on his own at the end. Maybe a bit of an assist would be fine, but I don't need, 6 people standing off against Lex and his goons
right
by the end of the film.
Yeah. So,
but I trust James Gunn enough. I know I've vocalized in the past, and I'm still not a fan of everything that James Gunn does, but I trust him enough based on what I've seen and read about this movie so far that I think we're going to be okay in that regard.
Yeah.
Because he's repeatedly said this is a Superman movie.
Yep. I'm not that worried about it. I'm really not.
I'm really not either. And might I just go ahead and say, whatever issues I may have with James Gunn as far as my taste toward his humor or whatnot, and that usually is ultimately the thing that drives me nuts with him. This is a gorgeous looking movie based on what I've seen in the trailer so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. And I am so impressed with the scope of it. It looks big and bombastic and epic and exciting. And again, what you want from a Superman movie. So not that, not that the Guardians movies weren't big and epic too, because they were, but I don't know. This one, the style feels just right for what it is.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Something else just to think about. Just something for you to noodle on while we wait for the next
food for thought.
Just a little food for thought.
I'm still kind of hungry. I haven't finished dinner yet, so give me some food.
Gonna throw a little something out there. So you got Superman in the cell with Metamorpho. Metamorpho has kryptonite who's keeping him at bay. You see Superman getting roughed up by some guys in power suits, but then you do see Superman bust out of the cell. There are hundreds of cells in there, Jamie.
Yeah, there are.
I wonder who else are in those cells.
I think Rocket Raccoon. I think Weasel. I think. Pretty much anybody that Sean Gunn has ever played.
I don't think
is in those
avoid Weasel being in there, but No, it just, I mean, is Lex collecting supers because he is threatened by them?
That's a very valid analysis.
Just food for thought.
No, that makes all the sense in the world, because I mean he's already clearly got one by the time Superman gets there, because I'm pretty sure they didn't just catch Superman and Metamorpho came after the fact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we see some thugs in power suits. We see the hammer of Buenos Tardes
I think it's Baravia.
also in a super suit. So there are some super suits readily available. Just an observation. Just in case one bald bastard wants to put one on, they seem to be plentiful.
Yeah, yeah. And it would make all the sense in the world, based on how Lex's mind works, as I know it, that he would develop and construct these suits, but he would also want to see how well they would fare against Superman before he wanted to step into one and step out to Superman. Before he would want to make sure it had proven results before he took the risk himself.
That's just it. Maybe he's got some patsies he sends out in suits to see how Superman fares against them, and then improves the next suit and does it again.
Well, is thinking back to the teaser trailer, there was that moment where the goons are surrounding, I think it's Mr. Terrific, in that camp setting, as I keep calling it. They're wearing purple and green.
Yep. They sure are.
So if he ain't giving me a power suit in this movie, James Gunn sure as heck is trying to prep me for one.
He is, yes. He certainly seems to be setting the table for one. There's a pretty awesome shot of Superman hovering above a big cloud of dust. There is some good Superman iconic heroic moments in here.
Yes. And might I just go ahead and throw in that my favorite part of this trailer is when he's hovering above that cloud of dust and all the people have their phones out and they're cheering and smiling and, yeah, go Superman, fist pump in the air kind of thing. That was a great moment. It's my favorite thing in the trailer.
What's your other favorite thing in the trailer?
I told you I have like 9, so we'll get there. Don't worry.
So I agree with you. Seeing the crowd, cheering on Superman as he flies away it got me. It got me in the feels. I'll be honest.
Yeah, same.
There were a couple things that got me in the feels. First thing was hearing that Williams music. Sorry, it works. This was another one, and then of course the big heartfelt moment is that quick quote from Jonathan Kent.
Yes.
About your choices, your actions. It's what you make. It's what makes you who you are. And so just getting those words of wisdom from Jonathan Kent was also a really beautiful moment in this trailer. I love it.
Yeah. And, in case I hadn't mentioned it, my favorite part of this trailer is when Martha says, "I cleaned your boots. Let me get them for you." And then he turns and he's walking with a purpose and starts stripping off the shirt. Like he's getting ready to bust out the door and hurt something.
Yep.
My favorite part in the trailer.
Oh, great. There is a quick, also like blink and you miss it, flashback of young Clark with Jonathan Kent while he was younger too. That's really sweet of him picking up his son.
Interestingly enough, and I observed this about 6-7 times into watching it today, there is not a single reference, visual or otherwise, to Krypton anywhere in this trailer. No Jor-El, no Krypton, no ship, no any of it. So it seems to me, at least thus far, based on what we've seen and heard, they're kind of avoiding the whole origin. Everybody knows where he came from. We don't need to talk about this no more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are rumors that Jor-El will at least hear his voice, if not see him. So there are rumors of that. But you're right, not in this trailer.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not objected to that. I'm just saying, take the Man of Steel trailers, for example. There was a heavy thing with Krypton in that.
Oh,
and Jor-El. And, the origin of Superman based on, the information we saw of that going into the film. And obviously it was a good chunk of the opening of the movie. Mm-hmm. This one, I don't feel like we're going to start off with the exploding planet and the ship rocketing through space.
No.
I don't think we're getting that here.
I think you're right. So speaking of Ma and Pa Kent, I I appreciate how non-movie they are, if you know what I mean.
I mentioned this in our little group chat with Brendan and Joe and Eric today. I like that the Kents look like Midwestern farmers.
They do. Yeah, they just look like real people and not actors. And so that just makes sense with once you see it, you're like, oh, that's what James Gunn is going for. Is like Ma and Pa Kent. They're not like the picture perfect Norman Rockwell caricatures. They're like very real. But I think that that's cool.
I agree.
We get
the actor, and his name always escapes me. He's been a character actor around for many years. First thing I can really recall seeing him in was Identity, which is a pretty underrated film in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But the actress playing Martha, I don't know her from Adam.
Yeah, I don't either. There, we get the cameo by Christopher Reeve's son, Will Reeves. He is on the giant screen doing the news report while Superman is fighting the kaiju.
I didn't even catch that was him.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's in the background, so you got to look for it. But lots of good Superman flying here. Lots of good Superman action.
What if the kaiju is the power suit? Lex is inside of it controlling like Mechagodzilla.
Well, I don't know if that counts as a power suit, but...
Yeah, probably not, but...
You get a moment that looks like it's like Jimmy and Clark goofing off together.
Yeah, that was a nice moment.
Which is nice. It's so quick, but it was cool, and I look forward to seeing more of that. There's a gal who I thought it would be Cat Grant.
I thought the exact same thing. I was like, is this a rando? Is that Cat Grant? But, you know, you're doing the selfie out the window with Superman flying in the background there.
Yeah.
I thought that was again, that's like a quarter of a second, but...
Yeah, at first I thought it was Cat, but then like in the wide shot with the entire Daily Planet crew, Cat has like long white hair and glasses. So unless she's like wearing a wig in that scene and this is how she looks out of it, I don't know. So,
well, if she's doing any kind of investigative reporting, one could assume she was wearing a disguise. Or this very well could just be some random woman in an office building taking a selfie while Superman's fighting something.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this is the society we're in now, right?
Yep. Yeah, we still get Superman and Lois sharing a kiss while floating. Iconic. And then we get my nitpick with the trailer.
Okay.
And so you get that great shot of him getting up and flying off, and the crowd is cheering, and it's like, yes. But then you see the silhouette just ever so quickly after he flies up, and it looks like he's been like punched back to Earth. It doesn't look like he's flying down. It looks like he has been knocked down. And I was like, that's not I didn't want that as the final note to the trailer.
See, I assumed he was flying back down, but I wasn't like breaking it down frame by frame to see the, you know, position of his body or facial expression, if you can even see his face. I don't know. It just happens so quick.
You can't, because it's mostly in silhouette. And so I could be wrong. It's possible. But I have freeze framed it. And yeah, it looks like he flies up and immediately gets knocked back down. And so what we're seeing in that last thing is his back as he's hurtling back towards Earth. And so I guess I just wanted like a more final heroic beat for the title card. But it's so quick. I do wonder if they were like, no one will notice except these nerds who do podcasts and freeze frame everything.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, you're right. We just get the logo and the awesome lights and colors behind it, which I think is great. And then, I guess then the final beat is him with Crypto and Lois going, wait, you have a dog?
That was a good moment.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, that dog it's the new Grogu. Everywhere you go, crypto is going to be everywhere. That's why I say, people, take my advice, invest in cryptocurrency.
All right. Noted. Yep. Crypto. He is all over this thing, and people are excited, but especially Harley.
Which is probably the most important thing.
Just honestly, it's doing its job.
Yeah. I mean, if you remember me during the craze of Wonder Woman leading up to it, how obsessed my daughter was with Wonder Woman at that time. I just kept saying, as long as she comes out of that theater happy about this film, anything else over and above that is gravy for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out it was a great movie and we all loved it. But all I needed was for my daughter to come out of that movie as happy as she was. Yeah. And I would have been fine with anything else. And if Harley can, go see Superman, or if a younger generation can go see this movie and they can come out and I can look down the street and I can see as many Superman shirts as I do Spider-Man shirts out there, God bless America. We've reached the peak. That's all I need. If the movie's great, which I really believe it will be and hope it will be, awesome. But if I just walk out of there thinking, yeah, it was all right, but maybe there's 2 or 3 other Superman movies I'd rather watch instead. But if the kids can get into this, that's maybe the most important thing about this film is being able to hit with everybody. Mm-hmm. Because as much as I love those Snyder films, and as much as I let my kids watch all of them, I understand the gripe that maybe that's not the ones you want to take your kids to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Agreed all around. So that is the trailer, my friend. Anything else you wanted to add?
I should probably talk about my favorite part, but maybe that's something we can do another time.
Yeah. I mean, gotta save something for next time.
It's like every time I blinked in that trailer, it's like Crypto jacking her jaw and the people cheering with their phones out, filming Superman, and Superman saying, "Hey, buddy, eyes up here." It just, him, Mom saying, "I just cleaned your boots. Let me grab them for you." And him getting ready to walk out the door. And he's just looking out there with that purpose and starting to peel off that shirt. It's like every bit of all of those things. I was just like, yes. So I'm excited.
That's great. So am I. Worth the wait. Can't wait. And seeing a lot of positivity around this trailer. And I'm super psyched.
Getting a lot of views is, hour or two ago before I came down here to do this, I was watching it on YouTube on my TV upstairs, and it already crossed like 5.2 million views.
Yeah, I still have it up on YouTube right now. It's 8 hours old, and it's at 6.5 million just on the DC channel. So,
yeah, that's where I was talking about. So it's had another 1.3 million just in the time we've been talking.
Yeah. So,
which is probably, Jay and Brendan and Joe and Eric just watching it on repeat. That's probably where that comes
from. That's fine. They're doing the Lord's work. And us too. I take credit for at least 12 of those, maybe 15.
Like I say, I don't know how many it was, but that's the most I've watched a trailer in one day since probably Force Awakens.
Wow.
Yeah.
For me, it's still that final Man of Steel trailer.
Which is quite possibly still the greatest trailer ever made.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't think I have this one too far behind it. It's definitely not as good.
Yeah.
But I don't have this one like, if that one was number 1, this one's like number 19.
Right. Nope.
This was a really good trailer. It's doing its job. It's generating buzz. It's getting people excited. It's showing people things that are making them very happy and hopefully delivering on some expectations of what they wanted or needed from a Superman movie. And, just to get random opinions, I was showing it to some people at work. And the one guy who's, generally into the Superman scene or the superhero scene, he's, Marvel, DC, he likes all that stuff. I know he's a big Henry Cavill fan. So I just like, hey, what do you think of this trailer? He's like, no, it's good. I was like, are you excited for the movie? He's like, I'm always excited when a Superman movie comes out. I said, but you'd rather this be Cavill. He's like, not if this dude can deliver the goods. I'll be all right with it. I was like, cool. We're on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So, just not the dorks like us that sit in the basements and do these podcasts and all that everything, just gauging general public interest. People seem to be intrigued at the very least.
Right. Yes, there is certainly interest. There is certainly awareness. And this is yes, we've had marketing, but I think this is really the true start of the marketing push for the next, what are we, 8 weeks away?
6-7 weeks, something like that. Yeah.
So, and it says right here on YouTube, it's number 1 trending. So that makes sense.
Well, what was the thing you pulled up and shared yesterday about the most anticipated movies of the summer or year or whatever it was?
So it was another one of those tracking reports that Robert Reinecke likes to send, and it wasn't just awareness, because that's one metric. It was interest in seeing in theaters. And on that list, Superman was number one, and that was what, a day or two ago before this trailer even dropped.
Yeah. And it was, I think, second place was Jurassic World, third place was Fantastic Four. So, I mean, it's not like it doesn't have competition out there this year.
Yeah. So the interest is there, the hype is there, the trailer is there. Now the movie's just got to deliver.
I have all the faith that it's going to.
But yeah, based on this trailer, I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Like, this movie will have to have, like, Rogue One me to believe that this is not going to be a good film.
What does Rogue One to me mean?
Show me a bunch of stuff in the trailer that doesn't wind up being in the actual movie.
Ah, okay. Gotcha. Or Justice League.
I didn't want to open that scab on this.
Oh, might as well. Equal opportunity.
I guess.
All right. Well, cool Superman trailer. It's awesome. Love it. Can't wait to see the movie. July, here we come. But got a lot of stuff here from you all. So still got time, Jamie? Want to hear what the folks are up to?
I got no place to be.
All right, here we go. Let's see what you fine feathered finks want to know in the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Derek. What is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all, Master Wayne.
Actually got a lot, so I don't know. We'll do a few and see where we land.
Okay.
First one here is from our old pal, Tim Rooney. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCasters, Tim Rooney here, and I wanted to respond to Rob from Halifax's question about which prop should his Bane cosplay come with. I know he mentioned a weapon to go along with the getup, but I have to say something that speaks louder than a weapon. Carry a broken or bloodied Batman cowl. What speaks more to Bane's power than that? The man who broke the bat. If you don't want to carry it the whole time, you can string through your belt. You can string your belt through the cowl's eyes like pant loops. Hope it helps, and everyone listening to this, have a great Batman-centric day. Sincerely, Tim." Thanks, Tim. So yeah, in an episode or two ago, someone wrote in and was like, "I'm doing Bane cosplay, but Bane doesn't really have a weapon. What should I have?" Tim, I love the idea. A broken up Batman cowl would be cool. Or if you want to go like super dark, what if it was like a skull and spine with the Batman cowl and cape on it?
Oh, like Predator stuff.
Yeah. But I think it's a good call, Tim. So I hope Rob from Halifax is listening. Another idea for you.
Well, just to step back to that conversation, Bane is the weapon. There is no need for the prop.
I
do like that creativity, because I remember back around the time that Infinity War was coming out, somebody did a Thanos cosplay that was carrying around a broken Iron Man helmet with a Robert Downey Jr. mannequin head inside of it.
Oh, wow.
And I found that to be amazing.
That's cool. I never
on
saw
several
that.
levels. By the way, Tim, nice job on the short film you just released this week. That was cool stuff. I enjoyed it.
Well, there you go. Shout out to Tim. He has a little horror short film on YouTube. It's like 2 minutes long. It's very easy. It's called The Laundry Room.
I think that's right.
The Laundry Room. Through the Lens Productions. So yeah, if you guys got 2 or 3 minutes to spare, give Tim's little spooky little short a watch. You'll enjoy it.
He's got a few of them on there.
Cool. All right, next message here. I don't know who it's from. Because
anonymous.
Yeah, I guess it's anonymous. They didn't sign it, and the email address does not help, because the email address says it came from the video store. It says, "Hey guys, longtime listener. I'm glad you finally got around to Batman Resurrection. I listened to it on Audible and I really enjoyed it. Much like you guys, I also wish we had visuals for some of the vehicles or suits. My question is with introductions to new antagonists like Hugo Strange and Clayface, who did you envision in your head while reading? Myself, I envisioned Steve Buscemi as Clayface, because he's someone who maybe isn't conventionally good looking. Sorry, Steve, but would be a great pick acting-wise. And then I pictured Anthony Hopkins as Strange. Curious if you had any fan casts. Love the show. Keep it going. And then it said, P.S. The Batman isn't as bad as you think. It probably has the best atmosphere in a Batman movie that we've seen since 1989. LOL. Well, anonymous emailer, I'm glad you love the Batman and its atmosphere. I'm not going to take that away from you. You enjoy it. I'm with you. Batman Resurrection. Jamie, I assume you did not read it.
I didn't, but I listened to your episode on it, and I got to tell you, I was pretty sure George Lucas had written that book by the time you guys were done with that episode. The way everything had to tie into everything that came before it was a little on the excessive side.
It was excessive. It was fun, but excessive. But I'll be honest, I didn't fan cast anyone. I love your choices, emailer. Steve Buscemi and Anthony Hopkins are great choices. But honestly, yeah, I didn't envision anyone while reading it. I just kind of, honestly, I think I envisioned like the Batman the Animated Series characters more than anything. So I would have to think about it, like circa, well, this was between Batman and Batman 89, so like 1990. So like what actors in 1990 would have been Clayface and Hugo Strange?
I can tell you who I would have for Clayface,
Okay.
just because I love the guy, and anything that he's in that's automatically improved just by his presence. David Warner.
Oh, okay. David Warner.
Because he just has that Shakespearean stage actor quality about him. So, you know, if you're doing Clayface as that type of a character, I feel like he fits.
Yeah.
And then, you know, obviously you can do costuming and makeup and everything else for any effects that you're doing with the character at that point. But
right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I love, like, again, Steve Buscemi makes sense. Like, because as written, that Clayface, he is an actor, but he's also a little pathetic. And I think that Buscemi could do that. I wish I had someone at the top of my head, but I don't. So I'd have to think about it. But thank you for the email, and I am glad you enjoyed Batman Resurrection. All right, next message is from Jonathan Mercado. It says, hey, Andy and company. Figure I'd send in an email to let you know that I am the second listener who actually watches the Batman, the animated show. I'm anticipating the next episode recap. I caught up with the Laughing Cat, and it was okay. But the Batman, Batgirl, and Catwoman team up was fun. Letter grade C. Let me know if you'd ever want a guest host to do more episode recaps. I can't wait for James Gunn's Superman. We're only 2 months away from the film. I need to get my Superman shirt since you mentioned it's at Walmart. Now on to my question. This is about Batman Mask of the Phantasm. It's a favorite animated film for many Batman fans, including myself. There's one thing that shits me about the film. Who wrote this, Brendan? Why does Andrea not go after Arthur? I ask this because I feel he has as much to do with her father's death as anyone. I feel like it was a missed opportunity, although we know he falls victim to the Joker and is hospitalized. What are your thoughts? All the best. Give my love to Catherine, Harley, and Andy Jr. John. Thanks, John. And I will do that. I will give your love to the entire family. So I'm glad you also enjoy the episodes of the Batman. We're not doing it tonight. Sorry, but we'll get back to it. But interesting question about Mask of the Phantasm. Jamie, why do you think Andrea didn't go after Arthur?
Realistically, because of the runtime of the movie, but as far as like story wise, I don't know that I have a truly good explanation for it off the top of my head.
I don't either. I would have to rewatch it with this question in mind because I never thought of it. So yeah, I think I would have to do a rewatch and think about it. That it seems like he's the guy that she's like pretending to date, right? When she's back in town. And so it seems like maybe she's kind of playing him to get close to the other people she's going after and like using him as a means to an end. And then she was going to get him last, maybe. I don't know. Again, I would have to rewatch it with this in mind, but that's based on my memory. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So
yeah, we'll go with that.
All right. Yeah, great. All right, next email is from Dill Deets. It says, happy summer of Superman. I had a question about the much publicized superhero fatigue hype. After watching Hulk from 2003, which I low-key quite like, I had a thought. Most of the films that have not done well over the past few years were movies like the 2003 Hulk with a twist on the character, like Ant-Man doing the microverse, or a Hulk and Captain America film that somehow managed to not have Steve Rogers or Bruce Banner. Even the DCEU's lack of success was largely due to its not meeting audience expectations. However, successes like No Way Home, Guardians 3, and Deadpool 3 are giving the audience what was expected and were rewarded with all the money. Now we have a Superman trailer with over 250 million views and a classic feel. Clearly, people are still interested in superheroes. Do you think the flops may have been because people are ready for the classic versions of characters instead of being over superheroes entirely? I know I'd be happy with a hopeful Superman and some X-Men in their actual costumes. Love to hear your thoughts, and thanks for the great podcast. Thanks, Dill. Interesting, Jamie. So do you think that it's not so much about superhero fatigue so much as giving what the audience what they want?
I don't know that he may not be onto something here. That makes sense to me because what's been our thing for the last 5 to 10 years. We keep talking about or even going back 15 years even. We talk about, yes, the Christopher Nolan Batman movies were great and they changed things, maybe not all for the best, but maybe now we're ready for a little bit less of that and a little bit more of blue and gray, a little bit more, Brave and the Bold style, it just a little more fantastical. And again, Man of Steel is my favorite Superman movie ever. No disrespect to 78. It's very close behind it, but Man of Steel is my favorite. But I'm ready for different. And at this point, different is a little bit back to basics, like what he's talking about. So I can't speak for the general public as a whole, but I can speak to me as my own self and as a big fan of this character for my entire life. Yeah, I kind of think people are ready for a little bit more traditional translation of the characters again.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that people shouldn't give their own takes and do their own things and tell different types of stories and be a little bit original about it. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes you just need the comfort food,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of many factors. Again, I think it's a legitimate point, and I think that there is some truth to it. I do think that sometimes filmmakers or creatives will overthink something and push it to something that the audience doesn't want. And then it kind of bites them. And the examples you give are valid. No Way Home and Deadpool and Wolverine and even Guardians 3, where it's like, we know the assignment and they nail it and people come. And I think that is a big part of it. You don't want to be bored and just get the same thing over and over again. But sometimes there are just certain things you expect from, say, a Superman movie, and it should deliver that. And so
I expect him to only lift a giant rock and never punch anything. That's what I expect.
Of course, obviously. But I also think it's like there are so many. It's easier to pick and choose now. And we talked about this a couple episodes ago in context of like a Batman animated show. But it has been so long since we have gotten quote unquote classic Batman that doing classic or classic Superman or whatever is fresh and new because it's been so long since we've had it. And so there's something to be said for that too. So I understand your point. I get it. And for the record, I also like Hulk 2003, but I completely get why it doesn't work for everybody.
I second everything you just said. And let me just go ahead and sweeten that pot by saying, to this day, some 22 years later, I still think that's the best looking Hulk we've ever seen on a movie screen.
Mm. Yeah, I like it. I get that it was, but to your point, it was a little too weird. It was a little too out there. It was a little too experimental. And people were like, whoa, I just wanted Hulk smash. I didn't need this. And that's what happens when you do like big swings like that. Sometimes it connects, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the audience is divided. I would say the DCEU, that was a big part of it is there were big swings. There were, a lot of creative risks taken. And what you ended up with was a very divided audience.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, all that is.
Also, let me just throw in that I love the comic panel transitions in the Hulk 2003 movie. I thought those were awesome.
Yeah, I agree. All that is to say, I do hope that the new Superman film, and I think that we certainly alluded to it when talking about the trailer, we hope it is a very classic, back to basic Superman film that is exciting and emotional and hopeful and awesome, and like that everyone can enjoy, or hopefully everyone can enjoy. Because Superman deserves it, and we as fans deserve it too, darn it. So I hope that that's what it is. All right. Next message is from Jim Bailey. It says, "Hey guys, it's been a while since I've emailed, but I've never stopped faithfully listening from the shadows to the top Batman podcast out there. Quick idea for the show, and forgive me if it's been done, but what are your top 5 comic book covers from all iterations of Batman in print across the decades? It's often been said that comic book covers are the biggest form of false advertising, as the internal art often isn't nearly the same standard, but still, there have been some truly beautiful covers over the years. I'd love to hear you guys pick of a favorite. Oh, I would also love to hear you pick your favorite McFarlane Batman DC figures, though I know you've talked about toys a bit lately. Maybe that's an idea for further down the line. Anyway, love what you do. Keep them coming, and we'll keep listening. Peace and love to you all, Jim Bailey." Thanks, Jim. I always love episode ideas, and nope, we've never talked about favorite Batman comic covers. It's going on the list.
That's that would be a project, because damn, there's a lot of fantastic ones out there.
That is very true. It would be tough, so I would probably cheat and go, what are the ones that I still remember after all these years? And we'll start there.
I'm gonna just give you a peek behind the curtain right now. When he said that, the very first thing that popped in my head was Batman 400.
Well, you make me Google this, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. I remember that one. Interesting. Ironically, one of the ones that jumped into my head was Batman 397, and it's like a ultra close-up of Two-Face. And when I think of
I know the exact one you're talking about.
When I think of comic book Two-Face, this is the image that's in my brain.
Yeah, that checks out, certainly.
All right.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun, but man, there's thousands of them out there, man.
Hold on a minute. I'm still adding it to the list. Batman comic covers. Thanks, Jim. Okay. Next email is from Weston Craig. It says, "Hey guys, what are your top 5 favorite DC comics? They can be full run, single issues, arcs, trades, any character, whatever. To keep it interesting though, you can't include Identity Crisis, The Long Halloween, The Dark Knight Returns, the Batman Adventures, or any of those, since we already know that you guys like those. P.S. I haven't found any Superman merch at any stores yet, but I did find a toothbrush, so I bought it. Thanks for the awesome podcast, Weston." Thanks, Weston. I mean, the only merch I've seen out in the field is the Superman shirt at Walmart, which I mailed to Australia for you know who. So it's coming.
So a $12 Walmart shirt became a $250 Walmart shirt.
More or less. But yes, the Superman merch is coming. Keep an eye out, Weston. And then 5 favorite DC comics. I love that you already knocked out some of our favorites. I get it. I don't know if I got 5 off the top of my head, but I will try to think of some. First one that comes to mind is, just because I was so obsessed with it back in the day, was Armageddon 2001 from 1991. Yeah. That was a crossover event that like captured my imagination that entire summer. I was obsessed. So I'm not going to pretend it's the best run ever, but man, as far as I was concerned that summer, I was all in on Armageddon 2001.
Well, if I can piggyback off you on that one, I'll throw one out that he didn't say I couldn't bring in. The Doomsday run in Superman.
Oh, okay, yeah. Death of Superman?
Even though I wish it would have been the traditional classic Justice League members instead of Bloodwind and Maxima and all of them. But, that said, that was a major thing in my life. I was 17 when that came out, and I was still reading pretty regularly at that point, and that was a big friggin' deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to
But
think.
again, if you go back and read it now, maybe has it held up some 30 years later? I don't know. It's been a minute since I've read it.
Right.
That's it sure was important to me at the time. I can tell you that much.
Oh, yeah, same. Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think of other examples that like spring to mind. I know I've mentioned in the past the first 2 Robin miniseries. So Robin and then Robin 2, The Joker's Wild. I really love both of those.
I don't think I've ever read Joker's Wild. I know I own them, but I don't know that I ever read them. I definitely read the first one, but my memories are hazy because I was reading them as they came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know you've spoken very highly of them, so I know, if only I had some kind of a thing on my iPad where I could access any DC comic I wanted at any time.
That would be good. I would highly recommend. I should do that too. I know that there are probably more respectable choices that I'm not thinking of.
This one's a little bit of a cheat, and I know I've mentioned it multiple times over the years, but people, I cannot express to you enough how good Jeff Johns' Green Lantern was from Rebirth all the way through Brightest Day.
Yeah.
It was incredible. There is not a bad issue anywhere in that entire run.
Mm. Yeah. So, well, any more that spring to mind? Oh, that was the other one I was going to say. And I know I've mentioned this one in the past, but it was, oh God. Was it Dark Knight, Dark City? Oh my God. I'm blanking.
Is that the Riddler one?
The Riddler one. Yeah.
I think that's what it's called because I've never read it, but I remember you mentioning it multiple times in the past.
Yes, Dark Knight, Dark City. I was right. Okay, that one again, I really loved back in the day. That one I revisited relatively recently, and it's still pretty darn good. It's a good Riddler run. So that one springs to mind. I'm pulling all the ones from like when I read religiously in the '90s because those are the ones that jump to mind. Plus,
Sure.
like you don't need me to tell you to read The Dark Knight Returns again. Like you don't. Yeah,
I'm going to do that anyway. So, but he took my number one choice off the table immediately. Shame on him.
Right. But anyway, there are a couple options. Again, I'm sure there are more and others, but those are the ones that jump to mind without any.
Year 2 pops in my head, even though I don't think it's held up quite as well as I think it should have over the years. I still enjoy it. Of course, the classic Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong.
Dude, it's so good.
I love that story so much.
And I think they just announced a sequel.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so they just announced a sequel, and you remember our old friend Phil Durasimo, he like texted it to me, and I was like, dude, if you haven't read the first run, you should. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, it's great. It's so good.
I'm not going to give it away, but what happens with Kong in that last issue almost had me standing up in an airplane punching through the roof going, yes! So...
Yeah.
Don't give it away for anybody who hasn't seen it.
I want that animated. I want that as an animated movie.
Wait. Hang on. There you go.
Great. Thank you. All right. Well, so there's some comic book runs that, that spring to mind. Anyway, next message here is from David. It says, Dear Holy BatCast, now that so many people have been asking what could possibly take Matt Reeves so long to pen Batman Part 2, and also wouldn't the universe work better on a streaming TV service while letting Brave and the Bold be cinematic, I found the following articles about comments about the Batman 2. And he's got a couple links in here, but basically here's the gist, is that Matt Reeves was persuaded to turn Penguin-related story points that he was going to put in the Batman Part 2 into the Penguin HBO series, focusing entirely on Oswald's misadventures instead of involving Batman. Although it doesn't entirely explain why he is taking so long to write a script, it does explain a major setback which happened in his endeavors to write the sequel. I thought I would share this because nobody has brought it up on the show before, and nobody seems to have stumbled on these articles. So, well, thank you, David. I hadn't seen these articles either, but any thoughts on that, Jamie? Is that, could the reason it's taken so long because he took a bunch of his story ideas and put it into the Penguin series instead of the Batman Part 2?
I'm certain that could definitely contribute to some measure of delay. Is it going to contribute to the massive delay that we're witnessing now? I don't think that's the core thing that's going. There's something happening here. I know there's been some murmurings about some personal issues in Matt Reeves' life. God bless him. I hope it's nothing, severe. I hope it's not like a sick family member, or like an addiction problem, or something like that. I wish him all the best. I don't have anything against the guy. I legitimately want to see where that story is going with his movies, because the way that movie ended, it kind of made me think this wasn't my favorite thing ever with Batman, but I'm intrigued to see where we're going to go from here. So, do I want to see it? Sure. If I never see it, am I going to be heartbroken? Probably not. That's kind of where I'm at with it now. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this sounds vaguely familiar, David. Honestly, I feel like I had heard murmurs of this way back when, before the Penguin even came out. And so, to your point, it explains a little delay, but it doesn't explain a 5-year delay. So, as Jamie said, I still think there's way more to that story that we are not getting at this point. But yeah, this could be one of many factors that went into it. All right, next message is from Bat Sam from Boston. It says, that's funny how he starts. He says, I think we need to stop pretending that there will be a Rob Pattinson Batman sequel.
I guess he just answered the other email, right?
And then he says, also, with very little new Batman stuff to consume, I've gone back to the source material. I scrolled to my birth year of 1973 on the DC app, and I chose a cool cover, and I just started reading. It was the Neil Adams era. It's clear that he brought shading, shadows, and depth of field to the party with his art style. His work really stands out among his peers. The stories are good. There was a big focus on his detective work in that era. The books commonly featured a secondary story featuring Robin at college, and they are dated. In one story, he helps to save a hippie commune. They'd also include a reprint of a classic story from the 50s, which was cool, as I'd never read any of that stuff. So here are my questions. Question 1, will there be a Batman 2? Question 2, have you read any of the Batman stuff from the 70s? And if so, thoughts? And question 3, if we don't get any new Batman stuff until October of 2027, which is when the Batman 2 will supposedly be released, how will you fill the void? Love you guys, Bat Sam from Boston. Thanks, Bat Sam. Always good to hear from you. And I love what you're doing. I love that you were like, I miss Batman. I'm just going to go randomly to the 70s and start reading. I think that's cool as hell. More people need to do that. And by more people, I mean me. I should do that more often. That's super fun. Question 1. Will there be a The Batman Part 2, Jamie?
Your guess is as good as mine at this point.
Nope, you got to answer.
No.
I don't think it's happening at this point. I really don't. It's like, how many pieces of bad news and delays have to happen before people start realizing it ain't happening? Because every month or two, it's something else. And if it was one or two of those things, listen, man, I'm the king of like holding out hope. I'm the king of being like, it's fine, just a little bump in the road. But it has now been years of delays with no real information. Yeah, so if I'm saying yes or no, my money's on no. Ain't happening. Have I read any of the
I felt dirty saying that. By the
I
way.
know. I'm sorry, but and again, I could be proven wrong because I just said that. Tomorrow they're going to go, all right, production has started on the Batman Part 2.
And you know what? If it happens, fine. If it doesn't happen, I guess maybe I'll wonder where it would have went. But if I get, another Batman to occupy my time in the meantime, I'm probably going to forget about it pretty quick, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So, have you ever read any of the Batman stuff from the 70s, Jamie?
Oh, yeah. Because he's actually coming in right around the time that Ra's al Ghul was introduced by Danny Adams and Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams.
Right.
Every time I try and say it, I wind up crossing their names over. So yeah, I've read quite a bit of it through there, but mostly the Ra's-centric arcs, because he's, of course, as you all know, my favorite Batman villain of all time. He's one of my favorite characters of all time. So I definitely wanted to be more familiar with his history. So some years ago, probably not long after we started the podcast, I started buying some trades and stuff. This is before the DC Universe Infinite or whatever the hell they're calling it these days came around. So I was like buying trades that involved that, and yeah, I thought there was some really good stuff. But is there stuff that's of its time? Of course there is. Of course there is. But it's still some really good writing and some really good characters that are coming around during that era.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely have. I've sampled Batman comics from every decade, from the very first one to, a couple months ago and everything in between. I thought the 70s was a cool era of Batman comics because to both of your points, Sam and you, Jamie, of like, this was when Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams was starting to take back Batman into that darker place and do some really cool and weird things of just trying to make him a little more serious again after the 60s. And yeah, it's a really fun era to read. So I dig it. And then question 3, if we don't get any new Batman stuff until October of 2027, which is still over 2 years away, Jamie, how will you fill the void?
With Batman specifically?
That's the question.
Okay. I was going to say, I mean, I got a Superman movie that's going to keep me occupied for a minute here in a couple of months.
And
a
Supergirl movie next year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I tend to read The Dark Knight Returns usually at least once a year. So, that always warms my heart because that's my favorite fictional story of all time. The Dark Knight trilogy is great. The Burton Batman films, BVS, Zack Snyder's Justice League. I mean, these are all things that still bring me joy when I participate with them watching or reading. So I don't think I'm going to have a lot of problem filling a void. I always want more because I'm a greedy fanboy like that. But I have many things that can occupy my time waiting for something to show up.
Yeah. I mean, that's just it. As Batman fans, there is no shortage of Batman content. And there is hours and hours of Batman content that all of us, I'm sure, have never dove into, whether it be comics or maybe a game you never played, or you just go back to some of your old favorites. You can always do that with Batman. So that's what I would do if this is what's going to happen. If we got to wait another 2.5 years for a new Batman movie, there's plenty of Batman stuff to enjoy, and I'll keep on enjoying it. But I do think that the undercurrent of the question of, it kind of goes back to, previous conversations of like, is Batman really going to be out of the game until fall of 2027? I'm not so sure.
That iteration of Batman, yes. Any iteration of Batman on a movie theater screen? No.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I suppose it's possible it might take that long for the Brave and the Bold to, release and complete production and all that other stuff at this point. I don't know because we have no idea where they're at with script or anything like that with that film, because that's the one thing that we seem to get no news on whatsoever when it comes to this stuff. But I find it hard to believe, as successful as I believe this Superman movie is going to be, that Batman isn't going to be hot on the heels as quick as they can get it at that point.
I think he is. I think he is on deck, swinging around the bat with the donut on it. That's a sports reference. I'm sorry. I'm just a big sports guy. I think he's ready to go, but they don't. But first things first, and Superman is first things.
And maybe they're just smart enough to know that they don't want to put that announcement out there because they want Superman to have his time to shine.
Yes, and I think that's a big part of it too.
Because if they announce Batman Brave and the Bold goes into production November 2025, that's all anybody's going to talk about between now and November of 2025. And that's all anybody will talk about until that movie's released. And then Superman will just be sitting in a corner with a sad look on his face.
Yeah.
And only Thomas J. Wagner will be there to comfort him in that moment, because the rest of us will be like, hell yes, we got a Batman coming. So,
well, all right, here's I mean, we have certainly speculated a lot on the Batman Part 2, but for Brave and the Bold, I'll say it right now. I think there is a finished script that James Gunn has written that is sitting there waiting. I
hope you're right.
I truly do.
I hope you're right. I hope they already have their short list of casting and directing and everything else set up. And I hope the minute the post-credit sequence in Superman rolls out, they say, "Oh, by the way, Batman has been greenlit." I'm cool with that.
Yeah, because
all right, maybe give it a couple weeks and let the box office stack up a little bit. But you see what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. But yeah,
let the excitement be around Superman for now. Yeah. I think that's the right play.
No, I agree, but I think that they're ready. I think he's ready to go. And they don't want to jinx it. And like you said, right now the focus is on Superman. Let it be. But yeah, and also silver lining to now the Batman being over 3 years old. It gives moviegoers a chance to miss Batman a little bit.
Sure.
I mean, there was 4 years between Dark Knight Rises and BVS, but they cast Ben Affleck like a year after Dark Knight Rises. So it was like, there was not much of a gap there. Anyway, we'll see how it goes, but plenty of Batman stuff to enjoy in the meantime. And my hunch is by the end of the summer, we'll know what's happening with at least one of those Batman movies. Anyway, thank you for the questions, Bat Sam. Good questions. I still have quite a few emails here, but I am going to save them for next time because it's getting late, and I want to make sure that Catherine's okay with Harley and baby Andy. So,
yeah, she hasn't come barging into the room in a minute, man. I'm getting a little concerned.
I know the quiet is the most concerning. Maybe she passed out. I don't know. But yeah, some emails left. We'll get to those next time. Thank you to everybody who has written in. If you've got something for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can send that to Holy BatCast at rf4rm.com. But that'll do it for this episode. Jamie, thanks for chatting on this Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday evening.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Now, and we're still done early enough that you can go watch the Superman trailer a couple hundred more times.
I don't believe my wife's going to let me anywhere near the television after as many times as I watched it during dinner, but please believe it will not be the last time I watch that trailer.
Whenever you need a little pick-me-up.
Yeah.
Anyway, anywhere we can find you out there, or are you still hiding in the shed?
Kind of limited interactions in the Real Fans group right now. I engaged with the Superman trailer talk today because I was so excited about it. Still somewhat active on Letterboxd. I'm not writing as many reviews as I was, but dropping in what I'm watching, star ratings and things. I've been rewatching a lot of movies lately, just as comfort food. Like I rewatched all 4 John Wick movies over the last week.
Fun.
Damn, I forgot how good those things are, man.
So good.
They are. I watched the Rambo movies the week before that, so I'm kind of going through a comfort food phase with my movies right now. But yeah, I'm pretty limited on the social media footprint, but. Please believe my investment advice is sound. Invest in cryptocurrency this summer, ladies and gentlemen.
Perfect. I just bought the entire Final Destination series for very cheap on iTunes.
Yeah, it was on sale for like what, $10 or $15 for all 5 of them?
Yeah, and
because I did that last year and got that special.
So I don't know if I've seen like 3, 4. I've seen one of those. I don't know the difference honestly between most of them, but I was like, those are cheap. That'll be fun. So I think I'm gonna start watching those.
3 through 5 are not great movies. I really, 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 really like the first one. I like most of the second one, especially that opening sequence, which I think is probably the best moment in the whole franchise. And then 3 through 5, they're not particularly great, or maybe not even good, but there's some fun sequences in there. They have a really good time in being creative on how they do the death approach thing.
Oh yeah. Again, I know I've seen 1, I know I've seen 2, and then I've seen another. I never saw the one with the roller coaster. I can't keep them straight, but I'm gonna start watching them because they were cheap, and I like a cheap thrill. Ask my wife.
You should save it for the fall, and we can do that for our franchise recap on Real Fans for spooky season.
We could, but I have another idea that definitely wasn't suggested by a koala.
I'm almost scared to ask what that would be.
Well,
I guess I'll find out in October.
Yeah, I guess or September. Regardless, we talk about Final Destination and all the other summer movies on the Summer Movie Preview at Real Fans for Real Movies. So make sure you guys check that out.
Hey, just so everybody knows, Scarathon this year starts on July 12th.
Perfect. I love it. All right. Well, there you go. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We do appreciate it. Please do follow or subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Please rate and review us. That also helps us out. Doesn't cost a thing, and we would love it. A 5-star review does help us, and it makes me feel good about myself for about 30 seconds, and so I'll take it. Find the show on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, Holy BatCast. If you've got something for the Wayne Manor mailbox, that email address again is holybatcast@rf4rm.com. Our theme music was created by the talented Gaurav Venkateswar. You can find his work at gvtunes.com. And that will do it. On behalf of Jamie, I've been Andy. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Holy BatCast is not affiliated with Warner Brothers or DC Entertainment. The views and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Eyes up here.
Yeah. I cleaned your boots. I'll get them for you.
You know what my favorite part of that trailer was?
I know all 8 parts.
That trailer.
So he's interviewing to be a part of this Justice League that's not a Justice League. Oh, hello. You blew out my candle again, didn't you?
Yeah.
Harley, what did we watch downstairs?
I watched
Was it Superman?
Superman.
How many times did we watch Superman?
We watched.
Did you make me watch it over and over and over again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Superman.
It is Superman. Are you excited to see Superman?
I want to see it.
Yeah, you want to see it?
Yeah.
Do you like the doggy?
I want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see it.
Well, I'm not going to... You want to see it right now on my computer?
Yeah.
Oh, there is a naked child in my office right now.
You realize you're going to wind up with a puppy before summer's end, right?
No, we are not. We don't need a puppy.
No, you may not, but she does.
Hey, I love you.
I love you too. That didn't take long at all, did it? I warned you.
Oh, you called it. You called it.
But she's completely naked, so I think she escaped from the bathtub.
Well, you know, we've all been there, right?
Yep.